Hello and welcome to Community Connections. I'm Tom Hayes and your host of this show, which brings topics of local interest to viewers in Monmouth and Ocean counties. Community Connections is brought to you by New Jersey Natural Gas and Scan TV. And today we have a wonderful guest with us, and that's Debi Heptig, who's the Director of Operations for the Monmouth Park Charity Fund. So welcome, Debi. It's great to have you here.
It's always great to see you, Tom.
I think I've known you since you were 10, and that was about 25 years ago, right?
Yeah, that's true. Both of us, right?
Yeah, but it's always a pleasure seeing you. I mean, I have to say, before we can get into all the questions, for the many years I've known you from different organizations, all that sort of thing, you've always been an upbeat, positive person, always doing great work, and always doing so much for the community and all that. So it is indeed a pleasure to have you here today as our guest to talk to you.
I'm trying to take after you, Tom, just a little
sure.
in your
You better
footsteps.
cut that out, young lady. You're going to be in jail. Don't follow my footsteps. I try to even tell my kids, don't follow me. But it's great to have you here.
Thanks.
And today we're going to be talking about the Monmouth Park Charity Fund, which I happen to be involved with as well, and being on your board and all that. So it's a great organization. So tell us a little bit about it, what the Monmouth Park Charity Fund is.
So it's kind of this really unique organization that has a home at the Monmouth Park Racetrack in Oceanport, and we're 71 years old. Probably something most people don't know about, this unheard wonderful secret. When the Islands and Haskells purchased the track back in 71 years ago, in 1946, they decided, since business was going well and their real obligation as business owners was to give back to the community. So Monmouth Park Charity Fund, while we are at the track, we raise money from the community to give back to local charities. So in our 71 years, this organization, and primarily run by volunteers, really I'm just the only staff and I'm not full-time, has given back to the community over $9.4 million.
It's amazing.
So it's big.
Yeah, it's great. And what a great concept, and to think that it's lasted these 71 years is really wonderful, because it's all about doing the right thing for our community members that need a little helping hand every once in a while, right? And all these great organizations are helping these folks, so.
And it's done, I mean, I was the director of Big Brothers Big Sisters, and during that tenure, so every year when we give the money out, we give it at a tea. And this concept was born out of the women who started the Charity Ball Ladies Committee 71 years ago. The requirement for the money is not only to fill out a grant and to have that reviewed by a volunteer team, but they have to attend the annual tea, and everybody gets their check. So I would go and get my check, and it's significant enough. And but then to be among all the other nonprofit leaders and learn about what each other's doing and network and do things together, and you have camperships, and I have kids at risk who need to go to camp. And so we would do this kind of offline camaraderie building and furthering the impact of the dollars that we would get.
And it's funny because going back a few years, even before you were involved at this level, there were conversations about the tea and should we continue it and that sort of thing. And I just always felt the same way, like you mentioned. It's like, this is really nice. Like, yes, it takes time out of people's day, and they have to come there specifically for this, but it really is good for all of them to come because they do get to network with each other. And
trust me, we look forward to getting away from that office and just having some tea and getting a check. Come on, what can be better in the day? Especially you're having so many these agencies, you're talking about kids who've faced abuse, and every day you're getting phone calls of heartache and tragedy and help me, and then you have this one day a year where it's safe, everything's going to be happy, and you're going to come back with a gift that you can make things happen. I don't know. So that was the day we always look forward to that day.
I just remember you in particular. It's like, Debi's still here. It's like, and she's asking if we're going to have dinner too, and then you pull out your pillow. Is she sleeping over? Can I have breakfast in the morning? Just kidding. But it's certainly a great organization, and you do a wonderful job in your position as really the head honcho at the organization.
It's neat being on this side. Like now I'm a a philanthropist.
Yeah.
I'm like getting all this money and I'm giving it away.
Right.
Of course, with the volunteers that make it happen. But
Yes, of course, and you got a great group that helps you. So,
Yep.
So how do you raise these funds?
So really it's through the generosity of our donors and through special events. So at the track there's the race season, and every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday there are races. So we get volunteers to come and sell 50/50s, and that gets money. And of course when it's Haskell Day, everybody wants to volunteer, so that's always a big day. And last year we started the Breeders' Tin Cup Team Challenge, and that was great because it's a business networking, mini golf, everybody's dressing up in costumes, they have their own theme teams, tons of food, refreshments, open bar, and lots of fun and camaraderie, and a lot of business networking.
Right.
Our big
But that's also at the Blue Grotto, right? Which
Everything's
is
at
a
the
beautiful
track.
facility right at the track. They have their own miniature golf
Yes.
course. So for
Yes.
our viewers, it's good to know that all those amenities are at the track now, which
it's
is
amazing.
great.
The Grotto Outdoor Garden is
And that Tin
of the
Cup
line.
Challenge was a lot of fun. I mean, we participated, and
Yeah.
it was just a lot of
packed.
fun. Like you said, it was yes, you had a full flight of golfers, and
Right.
everybody had a really good time. And for those of us that go to some golf outings, it's nice that the miniature golf was
It's
kind of
mini.
and it's quick and it's
this
fun.
year
and
we have some tricks up our sleeve. Like you have your teams, and to further the business networking, you may get to a hole and you're going to have to switch team member with another team member from another team. So that will make it a little more
Cross-training
fun.
a little bit, right?
Yeah, like
Cross-networking.
fun. So yeah.
That's fun. That's good. It's a great event. So I'm sorry. Then you were going to go on to the other event.
And it
then.
brings new people into the fold.
Yeah, for sure.
new
It's a
people that know
different
about
group
us.
that doesn't necessarily go to golf outings in particular in a big way,
Right.
some of them. And like folks can have a little more fun. It's easier, much less stress, right? Because
Yes.
miniature golf is easy.
Yeah, and
It's-
dressing up. We had Bagger Vance, and we had the charitable chicks. And
Yes, right. They came as their teams.
And
right?
then we have the Derby, so that at $250 a person is a higher
Right.
level. But again, that's at the Grotto.
That's the
and we
Kentucky
sell
Derby,
out.
right? You call it the Kentucky
It's
Derby.
on
and
Derby Day.
Yep.
It's Kentucky Derby. People are betting. There's the hat contest. Everybody's got their hats. We have an amazing system of bars with different mint juleps. But this year, because it's on Cinco de Mayo, we're going to have a margarita bar too.
Nice.
The food is phenomenal. Tons of mingling and networking, live auction, trip to Cabo, St. Lucas in Mexico, and tickets to Hamilton last year. So I think we have already tickets to Hello Dolly. People are already calling. I haven't even gotten the invitations out, and people are reserving tables.
Wow.
So, because it sells out. It's
Yeah,
sold
it's
out for
great.
3 years in a row. So, almost a month before the event, we're done, and now I work on, all right, what toys and prizes and games can we come up with to keep all the guests having a good time.
Right. No, that's great. It is a big event.
And we should get over 400 this year. We had 370. I think we're going to cap it at 450 guests. So participating really gets you in front of a lot of people.
Yeah.
And we're honoring Joseph Roselli this year, and the Duru, Michael Duru Clothier, and our very own Tom Hayes. So I think we're going to bank it out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Such reputable people.
Well, certainly
So
Joe and
honorees.
the Duru families, I'm sure. But myself, I don't know. I'll ride on their coattails. But
you
great
do so
much.
much.
People.
Yep.
It's great. It's a great group, and thank you for even acknowledging that. But yeah, it's a nice event, and I'm sure people will have a lot of fun and all that, which is great.
And you can sleep in. You party from 2 to 7, and you have the night.
Yeah,
the
right,
after party.
right.
So a lot of people go up to the grotto, listen to music. It's a lot of fun.
Right. That's great. That's great. So now, how do you decide who receives the funds once you do all these great events and raise all
Yeah.
this money and all that?
So we're very diligent about making sure that the organizations that need the money get it. Right after the Derby, because my head's spinning till after that. So right after the Derby, I send out requests for proposals, so these grant applications with a cover letter to all the agencies that received the prior year. And then we also have lists of people who call us and have heard about us, so they want to be on the list. So
Right.
maybe 75 applications altogether. And because I've been on the other end, it's an easy application, but meaningful.
Right.
So we want to know about sustainability. We want to know about, is this something new or expanding, or how's it going to make a difference? What's the impact? And what are your financials? So we look at financials, and then the board, we've actually gone through, I mean, with our computers, fine-tooth comb, asking questions. What's this? What's compelling? How is it making a difference? What are they doing? Where's the money going? How's that being managed? So the neat thing is that if a donor wants to really help in the community and they have $10, well, that $10 will reach 50 organizations. So from cancer groups to domestic violence to kids at risk,
Right.
to lunch breaks, food banks. I mean, SCAN here, senior citizen issues. So we give, special grants. So it's really meaningful. And again, $1 can hit 50. Which is kind of what I love about it.
Yeah, no, it's true. I agree. It's great because there are so many wonderful organizations that do get the funding, and again, there's these ones we talked about that come to the T and and do all this networking, and they're really key organizations in this community.
Yep. And there's no in the overhead, so we have a room at the even though there's water coming through the ceiling most of the time, but we get free office space, free internet. I mean, it's really a no frills. So
I thought there was a waterfall. I thought that was made in purpose. Isn't it very calming hearing that trickling of water as it's rolling down your head and down your back?
I'll tell you, it's so. And everybody there, I love the people at the truck. Everybody's so helpful and happy.
Yeah, it's great, and it is nice. Yeah. It's a nice spot to have and all that.
But that it's so grassroots. Like the Monmouth Park Charity Fund is like really into just giving it back.
And speaking of that, I know we were, fortunate enough to be able to bring a grant to the table to work with you to do an additional program. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so one of the niches that this organization has that nobody else has, and I used to have through other, but no more, is that those agencies come together, work together. So we started through your grant, Accomplish More Together initiative. Right. And so 2 agencies were awarded $5,000 each to be able to do something in a more profound way by working together. Right. And so enough walls in the world, let's build some bridges. And that's really done well. We got wonderful grant applications back.
I was really happy with the response. That was really impressive.
The quality of the programs, and
it was a really tough decision. There was some really good grant proposals.
So I'm real excited to say yes to the ones we said yes, and I think too with that impetus, I think we're going to be doing more of that and having a meeting with some of the board members. I also would like to, bouncing off of that, have more opportunities for agencies to work together, either through how to write solicitations, how to do grants, how to build a board, and really offer more of those opportunities for collaboration.
That's great. And we also had done the grant to double the money, like the matching grant, right, which is important.
Yes.
So, if somebody can give $1 and we can add $1 to it and double their money, it's great.
Yes.
So, is there anything else you'd like to share about the Monmouth Park Charity Fund?
Just that, if you are in the area, I could use volunteers.
Yes, volunteers are always important.
Like by myself in there, and as somebody who qualifies for being a member of SCAN, my tech skills are quite limited. I would love to have some brilliant people with social media skills or IT. Right. People that might help in the office or at events. Right. So if anybody wants to volunteer their time or has a kid who wants to do an internship.
Right. So how would they actually do that? Because we're running down to 10 seconds.
Good.
And your phone number?
732-571-5325.
Great.
Or email me at monmouthparkcharity@gmail.com. Yeah,
Perfect.
That's it. And I'm Debi Heptig.
Very good.
And call to figure it out. Call, find out, come self-volunteer and get to see the races while you're doing 50/50s.
That's great. So thank you, Debi, for being with us. We're out of time. I can't believe it. So appreciate it. And thank you to our viewers. We're going to be taking a break, and we'll be right back after this commercial. So that's great.
The Save Green project provides New Jersey Natural Gas customers with rebates and financing options up to $19,000 for energy efficiency upgrades and whole house solutions to help you offset energy costs and save money. You can use these incentives to replace your HVAC system, water heating, and improve the comfort of your home with proper insulation. Plus, by participating in an eligible Save Green program, you can receive a free ecobee 4 smart thermostat valued at $249. We've helped over 49,000 customers invest in energy efficiency upgrades to save money and improve the comfort and value of their homes. To find out how the Save Green team can help you, call 877-455-NJNG or visit savegreenproject.com.
Okay, and welcome back to SCAN's Community Connections. Again, I'm your host, Tom Hayes, Director of Customer and Community Relations at New Jersey Natural Gas, and really happy to be your host for this wonderful program that SCAN puts on to really inform you about the wonderful organizations and folks that are working in our communities every day. So with that, I have the wonderful Andrea McPherson, who's really our wonderful guest today from the Court Street School in Freehold. So welcome, Andrea. It's a pleasure having you here with us.
Thank you.
I know I had the pleasure of actually visiting and touring your facility just about a month or so ago, and it was really very interesting. So tell our viewers about the Court Street School.
Sure. So the Court Street School is actually now a community center. It started out as a school about 100 years ago, a little over 100 years ago in 1915. And the school was originally brought about, we'll say, to segregate the migrant farm workers' children for them to go to school, as well as the black children in the Freehold community. So it was a small one-room schoolhouse where those children went to school, and to totally keep them separate from the other children in the area.
Amazing, right? So
Yeah.
it was predominantly or all
It was all
African-American.
African-American, all migrant farm workers, the children of the migrant farm workers. So the school operated with just a few students. The first principal was actually a Yale-educated African-American, or a black man, who studied law at Yale, graduated, and he moved to the Freehold area. Unfortunately for him, because of the time, he could not find a job in law. So he was able to become the first principal of that school. His name is actually Mr. Fenderson. And what he tried to stress to the children was the importance of education. And he also tried to incorporate a Black history component within their education. So actually, at one of the graduations that Mr. Fenderson had for the 8th grade, they actually had a very famous speaker at their graduation, and that was W.E.B. Du Bois. So
Wow.
that was really, when I did some history and looking at things, that was a very interesting component that I found out.
That's amazing.
So he really tried to stress that Black history, the importance of education amongst the students. And in addition, he really worked with the community, with their parents, with the churches in the area, so that taking up that whole, it takes a village
Right.
to raise a child.
Right.
And it really was successful, because out of that school we really got a lot of families that were totally on a different trajectory in terms of their growth, in terms of the income potential, and in terms of educating not just the entire family, the students, and then their siblings, and then generations
Right.
since that time. So Court Street went ahead, it actually became too small. As I said, it started out as a one-room schoolhouse.
Right.
And then they, at about 1919 or so, they built a two-room schoolhouse in the old British brick style. But I'm not sure if you're familiar with the one-room schoolhouse techniques. It's basically where each classroom may have one teacher, but several classes. So that was another disadvantage that these Black students were at, in that there were several classes in one room.
Going on
It
simultaneously.
was a disadvantage for the teachers, because you're hopping from this area to to this area, and you've got to now adjust. It's bad enough in one class,
Yeah, right.
the different levels that you're dealing with, but when you're having to teach more than one class, that's even more difficult.
Right.
The other thing too was that these teachers taught all subjects, so it wasn't like as if there was a separate teacher for math, for history, for English, one teacher, all subjects. A few years after that, around 1926 or so, the school expanded even further and became 4 rooms, 4 teachers. So that was actually a nice thing.
Right.
And that school continued on till about 1949. During the war, it was used for an air raid shelter and to hand out rations. And then about 1949, the school closed for a few years. And then when it came back, they did finally integrate the schools. Because many of these soldiers who came back from the war, they'd fought for their countries. And then they came back and saying, why do our children have to go to a segregated school?
Right.
So when the school did reopen in the 50s, it was then now instead of K-8, it became K-3. And it was integrated. So
Nice.
we've got some great pictures at the facility.
Yes, I was
showing
going to say
that.
I
Yes.
saw them. What was the earliest date of the first class
Okay, so
photo?
another interesting story is how the photos came about. So we've got these little black children going to this school, and many of their parents were migrant farm workers, as I said. Some of them were domestics in the homes within the Freehold area. And one thing that they noticed in working in these homes was that the other children had class pictures, but their children did not. So that's another thing they fought for. So right around 1939 or so, you'd see the beginning of those pictures.
class
Very
photos.
interesting
Yes.
class photos.
Right, beautiful.
So 1939, 1940. So we've got pictures coming down that timeline, whatever we can get from people's attics or basements and so
right.
on. So yes.
So remember that, viewers, if you've got some of those photos, bring them on over, right?
Absolutely. If you're cleaning out your grandmother's attic or
Right.
basement and you come across any pictures from the Court Street School, we'd be happy to have them and
Yeah,
add them to our
great.
collection.
That'd be great.
Absolutely.
And it's it's interesting, like you said, with the first principle and all that, incorporating African American or Black history, how important that was, because in mainstream schools it really wasn't being taught that way, right?
That is so true.
So it's important, and nowadays it's important still to continue to do that, so that everybody gets a well-rounded education and realizes everybody contributes to our history and has a role to play, and and it's important for everybody to know
Absolutely.
and appreciate and respect each other.
Yes, absolutely important to know where did we come from and that we matter.
Right, for sure. So
Definitely.
that's great, and the facility is amazing. It's really well kept. It's amazing what you guys are doing with it to keep it going. But I just remember it was up on the hill, right? And
Up on the hill.
what's the actual address again?
So the address is 140 Court Street, but the entrance is actually around the corner. It's no longer on Court Street.
Right. What is that street name over there?
So it's at the intersection of Rhea and Avenue A.
Avenue A.
Yeah, Rhea being R-H-E-A.
Right, okay.
Yes.
Because that was tricky. I remember
Yes.
first when I went to see it, I was like, where is it? And then I finally looked up and I said, that could be it up there. But, I expected an entrance on Court Street.
There's actually another interesting story with that. It's Court Street because the courthouse is
Yes.
across the street, down the street.
Right.
And actually, they opened the prison across the street at the foot
The other
of
corner. Yeah,
Court
the other
and
way.
Waterworks.
Okay.
So I believe some of the parents became concerned that, in them transporting people from the courthouse down to the prison and all of these children being there. So they then moved the entrance around the corner
Right,
to Court
okay.
and Rhea Streets.
Interesting. That's
So-
great. It's great. It's a great facility, and I know I was out there to tour it, and we're going to look to see if we can have some of our volunteers help do some painting and different projects. So that's also something that you would want our viewers to know, that if
Absolutely.
they're involved with any volunteer organizations or
Please.
know of anybody, first of all, to come visit and see it.
Absolutely.
But secondly, that if there's something they can do to help either volunteer or fund or whatever, it's a great nonprofit that's doing some great work. So,
I'm glad you said that. The Court Street School is a 501c3 organization.
Right.
So definitely we accept donations, and they would be totally tax deductible, yes.
Yeah, which is great. So what type of programs are held at the center?
So we've got a good variety of programs that we've done over the years. We've done everything from public speaking programs for adults and children. We've done afternoon teas, great community events of bringing people together. We've done summer camps in leadership, in computers. We've taught classes in Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel. We had different organizations who had many years ago donated computers to us. Those computers are now over 20 years old, so we are looking for new donations.
Okay, so it's another thing our folks can pay attention to. If you've got a nice new computer you want to donate, or even slightly used, that would be good, right?
Slightly used, we will take it. We've had even programs in model shipbuilding, very successful mentoring
impressive
program that ran for several months,
Right.
where it paired not just a child and parent or child and relative with a mentor who kind of knew the works. They started with a blank slate and a blueprint, and they would build these model sailboats with these 6-foot sails. And every Saturday morning they'd meet 9 to 12, and first with a quick half-hour lesson of what they'll be doing. Like some days, you know, they would rig the sails and the remote controls to the electronics
Right.
to move the sails around, and other times they were just building different components of the boat. Each student got to personalize their boats by painting it whatever color they wanted and adding extra things on it. And at the end of the program, they would then participate in these regattas and sail and race these boats. We actually took them on a trip to Solomon's Island in Maryland, and they raced those model sailboats on the Chesapeake.
Yeah, it was very great.
Awesome.
The photos were amazing that you
was
showed me. That
awesome.
was really, really cool. So do you collaborate with other organizations in the work that you do?
Oh, we definitely do. So right now we've got several great symbiotic relationships going, I'll call them. We collaborate with SCAN, which was a great find for us. So we did have our first SCAN program there. The seniors absolutely loved it. And
Nice.
I have to give some feedback about this because I got several emails. Who taught my mother Facebook? She's sending me messages on Facebook, or she's posting my baby pictures now. So that was really neat within the community.
That's
You've
cute.
got all these people saying, how did my mother learn this?
Yeah,
so
see that?
the
SCAN, you know, we know what we're
SCAN
doing there.
program was a definite hit.
Yeah, it's a
and
great group.
definitely not just the technology component, but the health component was very well received within the community as well. Right now, we've got another collaboration going with the Freehold. Freehold has a neighborhood network coalition where they're really looking at various components of healthy living, walkability and bikeability, healthy eating, lead paint testing, lead paint abatement, and just kind of fanning out into the community. So Court Street is trying to become a very integral part of that because we are now a community center that's open for
great.
everyone.
Excellent. That's really great. So is the center open for public tours?
The center is open for public tours by appointment, though.
Okay.
Court Street has no paid staff. We are 100% volunteers. And what we've done in the past that we're really trying to push a little more is try to collaborate with different history teachers within the district to not just during Black History Month, but just history in general.
Right.
Here it is. This building is part of the New Jersey Natural Historic Trust. It is a historic building having that designation.
That's impressive.
And it's just very important for the children and the students in the area to see and know all about it, and all about this one room, what started out as a one-room schoolhouse to keep people apart, but is now a community center that's bringing people together.
Right, and we're running out of time, so if people want to reach out to you, what's the best way to do that?
We've got our website up. It's www.courtstreetschool.com,
Okay.
and they can definitely email us at courtstreetschool@gmail.com, so that would be the best bet.
Great. I know that you have, other like events and things that you do all year, so you can find those on the website, right? And give you a call if they want to, again, get a tour, volunteer, donate. That'd be great.
We'd like all of the above, please.
Okay, great. Andrea, you were a wonderful guest. I really appreciate your being here with us, and as always, a pleasure.
Thank you.
And to our viewers, we thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you in the future.
Okay.
Thank you.